$7 billion has been put into the pockets of nearly 8 million Australian taxpayers in the past 6 months. But economists say the nation's recovery will depend on how quickly restrictions will ease in Queensland. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg joins me now from Lorne in Victoria. Treasurer, good morning. Happy New Year to you. Do you expect the Premier to lift the lockdown in Queensland today?
You too. Well, look, I'll leave that statement to her, but certainly it looks like across the country the virus is under control. Yes, we've seen 13 new cases yesterday, but that pales into insignificance compared to what we've seen across the rest of the world. 750,000 new cases around the rest of the world in just one day. Australia has been very successful in managing the virus. Of course, we're concerned about this second strain, and state governments and the federal government continue to take the best medical advice available to it. But at the same time, we want the restrictions lifted as soon as practical.
You are out of the gates early in 2021, Treasurer, with this positive news about your tax cuts. So in light of that, will you bring forward stage 3 of the cuts?
Well, they're already legislated, and they're got a date to be implemented, and we'll stick to that. What we did do in the budget on October the 6th was announce that stage 2 would be brought forward by a couple of years, and we're now seeing the benefits of that money rolling out into people's pockets. So some $7 billion, Sylvia, that is coming into people's pockets in the last 6 months. Another $9 billion over coming months as well. This is in addition to the significant business investment incentives that we put in place, as well as the loss carryback measure to help small businesses that have done it tough through COVID. And as you know, we've got the Home Builder program helping the construction industry. We've put in place support measures for the aviation sector, for the tourism sector, for travel agents. There's a whole range of economic support measures that are helping Australia recover over the course of 2021.
You set the precedent by bringing stage 2 forward, though, so surely bringing stage 3 forward is not out of the question?
Well, again, stage 3 is legislated. It has a timetable. We have no plans to change that. What we did do, though, is take a conscious decision, which I announced on October the 6th, to bring forward stage 2, and then we successfully legislated that through the Parliament, and that's putting more money into people's pockets. But Sylvia, there are some very positive economic signs across the economy. 85% of the 1.3 million Australians who either lost their jobs or saw their working hours reduced to zero at the height of the pandemic are now back at work. We have seen business and consumer confidence come back to its pre-COVID highs, and we've also seen around 2 million businesses graduate off JobKeeper. So there are some positive and hopeful signs across the economy, but we're not out of the woods just yet.
Some silver linings, but also still a lot of concern. As we just heard from the CEO of the Small Business Council, Peter Strong, there's a lot of worry in the small business community about JobKeeper drying up in March. With that due to happen in March, is the government considering targeted relief packages for specific industries?
Well, we already have, Sylvia. As you know, we announced more than $100 million in support for travel agents. We're continuing to support the aviation sector. We extended Home Builder for another 3 months, which has been the spark for the housing sector that it needed, helping to save thousands of jobs across that important sector. So we have adopted a targeted approach. In addition to the national economic approach that has seen programs like the JobMaker hiring credit being rolled out and legislated through the Parliament, like the tax cuts, like the infrastructure spending that we've brought forward. So it's a mosaic of economic measures that the Morrison government has introduced and is implementing, and that is having positive signs in terms of people getting back to work.
Can we expect new measures, though? New measures, perhaps, you know, it's not going to be JobKeeper, but will it be, you know, differently branded, I suppose, as new measures for industries that haven't had that targeted support so far? Let's talk about hospitality, retail, for example.
Well, again, JobKeeper has been supporting a lot of hospitality businesses through this pandemic. We announced an arts package as well as.
But what will support hospitality
we'll continue
beyond
to
March?
maintain what will support hospitality beyond March is containing the virus on the health front. That is the best thing you can do for the economy, is to get the virus under control. And yesterday we had 13 cases across the country. Now, that's always challenging, but at the same time, again, it's a fraction of the number of cases that we've seen in other countries across the world. We've seen in New South Wales a world-class testing and tracing system that's been put in place, helping to isolate those new cases and get on top of it early. So I'm very confident in our health system, and as a consequence, I'm also very confident that our economic recovery will continue.
So just to clarify, at this stage, there is no consideration of any extra support for the hospitality industry beyond March when JobKeeper ends?
Well, right now, Sylvia, we've got a lot of measures in place that support the hospitality sector as well as other measures. Now, of course, we maintain a watching brief across the economy, and predominantly this is a health crisis, so we've got to keep the health situation under control. But there's a lot of money going into the economy from the government, which is supporting consumer spending. We saw in the September quarter numbers the biggest increase in quarterly growth since 1976, and the unemployment rate has not got as high as what was initially forecast by Treasury. So we have had success in helping Australians get back into jobs. We have had a targeted response. JobKeeper was initially planned for 6 months. We extended it for another 6 months, and as you know, it tapers down, and we've seen around 2 million workers graduate off JobKeeper. So it has been a successful program, but it does have an end date.
Treasurer, it is the first time we've spoken in 2021. Tell us, how optimistic on a scale of 1 to 10 are you feeling about this year?
I'm feeling very optimistic. Again, I don't know what's around the corner, but right now, as I talk to you, I can see that people are getting back to work, people are in the shops, they're spending their hard-earned money, and we're putting more money into their pockets through the tax cuts. If you're someone who's earning $60,000 a year, you'll pay $2,160 less tax this financial year compared to 2017-18 as a result of the tax plan from the coalition. So the Morrison government is absolutely focused on allowing you to keep more of your money to spend, which helps create jobs, and I'm optimistic about that, Sylvia.
An optimistic Treasurer has got to do something for confidence. Josh Frydenberg, thank you very much for your time this morning. Happy New Year.